Hello, welcome to the JavaScript video. We will start with functions. So functions are very much useful, and it is like, yeah, well, if you are making something out of JavaScript, it will be must that you will come across using functions. So function is like a block of code which is very much reusable. So like when you declare a function, it will have some code inside it, and this code you can call again and again, and it will be called function, and then it will be a name, and then there will be this code. So this code can be accessible every time you call this name. So this is very much reusable. And while function and in function there is a general syntax. Let's say, let me write it down for you. Let's say function, sorry, clear all the drawings. Function, and then let's say abc, and this thing. So this is like very much the so the next thing is like, after giving this parenthesis, we will just use this brackets, let's say like this. Fine. So here, let me, and one more thing is abc, this thing. Okay, so let me just explain to you quickly. So this is basically the keyword. Fine. And whereas this thing is the identifier. Fine. And this whole section consists of the code, everything, and within this you can pass some of the parameters. So this is the declaration part. Oh, sorry. Yeah. And this is calling. So whenever we do this will basically call this function. So this is the keyword, this is the identifier, this will consist the parameters, and this will have all the code, and this everything is the declaration part, and this thing is the calling part. Fine. So this is the main thing about this using the function. And let's say there are different type of function expressions which we will describe, which we will discuss right now. Let me share you the screen. So now we will discuss about different types of declaration of functions. Fine. So within this there are different many types of declaration of function. We will discuss this all one by one. So let me just write the first syntax. It will be, let's say, a single line one. Generally, the first one is like const. So we will declare a thing. Let's say const abc, and simply put this under a function. Right. And in the function, I will just use this bracket. And right after that, I will just open up the parentheses. So this is one way. And another way is which I told you earlier, like let's say function hello, and just do it like this, and again simply this is. So there is one more type which is called arrow function. really, you can say handy and very much comfortable to use it. So this is nothing but this combination of both maybe. So it will start with let's say constant and let's say I use arrow, and we will use a this equal to, and we put this bracket, and again an equal to with this greater than sign followed by this tag. This tag. Right. So this is the arrow function, and simply in every this thing, let me just put this here. There will be parameter, right? And this way we can just simply use everything. So okay, one more thing. Let's say I'm just moving this thing. I will just show it here. Then this will clear you. Uh, let's say I am writing here. Uh, okay. Okay, fine. See, let equals to a. Fine. Okay, so this is one way, and another just focus here on followed by this equal to greater than. And right after that, if I write a, okay, so here you can see that both of them are quite similar, but this is called as multi, and this is called single. So these are some of the ways in which you can write down your function, and these are quite handy and will be useful every time. Fine. Okay, so let me just move on. So right now I'll just show you one example of using the function. So here you can see in the line, in the ninth line, you can see it is written button value click, and on click it will call this function known as getSum, and the name of the button I have put as press me. Okay. So what I am doing here right now is that when it will get a click on it, it will call this function with the parameter 4. So here I have declared the function getSum, and here the parameter I have used the num as a variable. And what is happening is that the parameter num will acquire this particular 4 value, and it will pass on here, and an alert message will pop up with the num into num. So let's just check it out. So here with I have this button, and when I click on it, you can see it is written 16, which is 4 into 4. Fine. So this is the way of using one of the way of using function. So this is just the gist of it, which I am trying to show here right now. So let's just move ahead with something more. And next is we will talk about scope. So so what is scope exactly? Let me just prompt it up. Scope is basically let's say you have an object, this thing A, and in your whole file, this JavaScript document, the A is located somewhere. So when you want to acquire the value inside A, how will you acquire it? Will you be able to access the value of A or not? So this all depends on scope. So if I just put it in words, it is where and which value or variable or function you can acquire or get access to. So basically, scope is help to define where and which value, variable, function you can acquire or get access to. Like some are globally available and some are not. So globally available means that let's say if A is globally available and B is not, it is not globally available, then in every let's say here is a function. So in this function you can access to A, but you cannot access to B because A is globally accessible. So there are different things, let's say, and terms like block, scope, variable. So let me just write it down here. It is called as block, scope, variables. So I'm talking here about variables. So why variables? Because the scope is basically depends on the variables, because whatever you put and wherever you put the variables, it will define your scope. So let's just move ahead and talk about the first one as cons. Okay, so we have been using this thing very much, and let, so these are nothing but are used for this declaring variables. But to be, if we see it as a way in scope, then it can be accessible from its area order, which means that let's say I have this function, and inside this function I have written, let's say, let a equals to 2. So when I log this thing, log a, or you can say this thing console log a, so it will show the value. But when I do it here, the same thing log a, it will not show the value. It will show some error, and it will show that you are not able to access this. So these are really the accessible from its area only. So these are not obviously the global variables, because the global variables can be accessible everywhere. So let's, if I just move in to the let's just see with the help of example in our code editor. Let me just uncome this thing. I come here. Okay, fine. So we are discussing about scopes. Okay, fine. Let's const one equals to, let's say, just gave a value of 10. Fine. And let's say function scope. I've named this function as scope, and inside, okay, I've used the wrong brackets. And inside this, let's say let a equals to 2, let b equals to 3, equals to a plus b. So we just use the limits, it will be easy. See. Okay, fine, good. Let's just call this scope function then. Okay, great. So if I just come here and let's see, if I open up this thing and if I go to console, what I see, I'm seeing 5. Great. Okay, fine. What is happening? That 2 plus 3 is 5. Okay, so now if I just log, let's see, mm, if I just put 1 here, now what will happen? Okay, 5 is getting printed, 10 is getting printed. Why? Because this 10 is global. This is global. And if I want to, let's say, log this thing as 1 here also, fine, it is happening. But if I try to log, let's say, C, so this is happening because it is getting a value outside also, right? But you can see that whenever you are declaring the things, it should be in globally or accessible at a particular point only. Fine. Okay, so when we are using with scope, then we have to keep in mind to make them globally accessible or locally accessible. So moving on. Okay, one more thing. Here we have discussed about global, but what about the local thing? So local is this thing, right? This local. So what if I try to log this thing and let's see what will happen? Will it show two? Let's see. Uh, Now you can see it is written uncaught reference A is not defined at example.js. It is showing because the thing A is only accessible inside this particular area only because it is not a global. As I have told you, it is a block scope variable and can be accessible from its area only. So the area of A is inside this function itself. That's it. So next we will talk about objects. Yes. So what are objects and why do we need them and what help they can give us? So let me just write ob- objects. So objects as JavaScript is object-based language. Everything in JavaScript is an object. Yes. So whatever you do in JS, it is objects because it is called only object-based language. So here we create objects and it can be created by using several things like this brackets, the curly brackets, and with may or mean no many list of properties. So what it means that when we create an object, we it more or like looks like array, but this consists of different properties. So and every properties can be accessed to a single object. Let's say if I just put it like a b c is a name of a person, and if I want to store the name, let me just get this thing. If I just want to store the name, the height, the age, the address, all for this particular thing of ABC, then I will store it as an object. So what it will be useful for that, it will not it will just help us to make a single memory location, or you can say a single location for a particular variable. So we will just discuss this with the help of examples also, and we can either make it direct or just create by new. So direct is like here. Let me show you the my code editor to explain you even better way. Just delete this, and we'll talk about objects. So the direct way is Shibam. So I have declared a variable named Shibam, and inside this I will have let's say age 70. Just, okay. So there is an error. So what is this error? The error is actually I have to use equals to sign. Now it's gone. Age, okay, fine. And let's say pet name, let's say Tuffy. So what I'm just creating this properties for this constant name Shiva. And let's see, add one more thing. So we have a numeric value, we have a string value, and let's get some string value also, height, float value also. Let's see, this, let's see, 5.6. Let's see. Okay, so this is way, and another way is creating with the help of new. So what I will do, I will use let I'll use a variable as a user, and then I will give it as a new. What this new will do is will create, and it will be followed by this bracket, and inside the user I will declare everything. Let's say let, and to add a property, let's say user dot name, and we'll just simply give the name as, let's say, and user dot age, let's say 19. Fine. But is it okay? Like, is it the right thing, or is this really functionable? Let's check this out. So to check this out, we'll just log thing. So first, let's just check for this thing, the this method, the first previous method. So log, and to access a property inside the object, we will use. We'll first call the name of the object, that is Shibam, and then followed by the name of the property we want. Let's say pet name. Now if I check back, it is showing Tuffy. So it's working. Well, fine. Mm, Now let's see. Okay, let's check for the age. So it's working still. Now it's time for this new part. So same thing, log, but this time the name of the object is user dot. So will it happen? Let's see. Name. Yes, it's happened. So now you can see it. The it is the object is formed nicely. So there are no errors in this. And but why do we need objects in this way? So let me show you one example which makes it very much easy and really accessible. So let's just put it here. Log. Say this thing. Mm, my So when I put this and I put a plus thing, it is known as concatenation. So and after plus, if I just put here as let's say Shubham dot name. So name is not under Shubham. I will use user dot name, and my age is, so I will use, let's say, user dot age. I have a pet name. Let's check this out. So my name is Dhar and my age is 19. I have a pet named Tuffy. So it's working. So see, this is the way which is very much accessible. And if in case if you are working more with JavaScript and pursuing JavaScript with other frameworks, the objects create a vital role when you are accessing several data from different area or the pages or different components of the website. So this all thing is under object, and this is accessible by this thing. You can see using the dot product dot thing, and it is very much easily used. So when we are using this, there are several properties also. So not only we can add, but also we can delete some things. Let's see if I just let me just remove this thing. If I just copy this thing and if I write it here each, so it is 2019, fine. This is working good. But if I use this delete dot user, so will it happen anything? Okay, something is wrong. Yeah, fine. Now let's see log user. See, now it is showing undefined. Why? Because in this 27th line, I have used this delete functionality, which deleted one property of age from this user object. So there are many other properties like nested and meeting words and number of words you can be used, and there can be several properties like multi-worded properties. It is not necessary that only one thing can be there. Let's say if I just want to add more things, height in inch, inches, sorry, height in feet. Fine. And if I just put this here as, let's see, okay, and if I just put it here, height in feet, 5.6. So what is thing is that it is not necessary that you have to put a single name or a single word for the object, for the properties of the object. You can just put several word. It is called as multi-worded properties, and for applying multi-worded properties you just have to put this between inverted commas, and to call this you have to use this block or the third bracket, and inside this you have to call the property. It is very much simple, and you have to avoid the dot in this particular. So next is using this keyword. So I mean this keyword, let me just. So using this keyword is a bit, you can say, tricky, but it is very much useful. So just think about, let me share my screen. I will show you the easiest example with the help of a pictorial presentation. Let's say there is a function A, and inside this function I have, let's see, something named as I have this. Let's say ignore the function. Let's just do it with object because recently we have talked about object. So we can do with functions also, but let's just do it with object. So I will just name the object as let A is the name of object, and inside this I will have several properties. Fine. So property one, property two, but there will be something inside this object, and what that thing will be, let me just close this bracket. There will be a function inside this object. So let's just see function b. So to access this thing from the parent object, we can simply use this, and here the this represent to what? This represents to this particular A. So if I just put it here, this color is very really not visible, and if I just put it here p1, so this particular thing will point to this thing. So this is the function of this keyword. It is to use some values within the object. Let's see, a function in the object needed some value of the object, then we use the keyword known as this. So to know more about this thing, I will just give you a link to an article which is very much revolves around this particular keyword. Let me just paste the name of the uh, thing. Let me just a second. Let me just get the link. You can just simply go to this link, and you can read more about this keyword. you being used in JavaScript, like what are the features and how can it be used in async, and it will cover up most of the intermediate area or the things about JavaScript.
Thank you for watching this video.